Welcome back to the last episode of the Hooligans Pitch for the English Premier League. As always, I'm Michael, and I'm here with...
your boy, Chad.
What's up, Chad? How's it going?
Good. We made it to this milestone of the end of the season.
End of the season, episode 37, match day 38. We just missed our timing there. We were a little busy. We had to run around, do a couple things. We saw each other in real life, which was fascinating. I love that you said it's so nice to not see you behind a screen. And I think someday we'll get to that point. Maybe like episode, if we're doing our estimations right, roughly 40 episodes a season. By episode 120, we'll be doing this in person. So we got a little bit longer, but we'll get there.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was great to see you for a brief little hangout. But, there was plenty of footy to talk. And
holy moly. Let's get into it then.
Yeah.
To commemorate the last day of the season, we'll be doing a little toast. I will start because we've ripped on them all year. I decided nothing beats a spur than a turkey. So we're going with a little wild turkey to cap our season. How about you?
Look, I just got the tequila because it makes me feel good, and this was a fun season. So,
all right. Well, hey, salud. Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Woo!
Woo-hoo! There we go. Get the pod going.
Yeah, and to get the pod going even more, because it's been a vacation week, we're going with a Blue Mountain Curse just to top it off. So that's what I'm drinking.
Look, those mountains are blue, so you know it's nice and cold, ready for you.
In a nice cold Hooligans pitch glass. Oh man.
I picked up the Lagunitas Island Beats Tropical IPA.
Oh shit, Beats.
Not gonna lie, it's not great.
Oh,
but,
okay.
It's no Voodoo Ranger. I'm just saying, New Belgium.
Yeah, it's true. Shout outs. We're waiting for you. We're waiting. Well, cheers to you. Again, we still have one more game to go for our pool, but this has been a hell of a 38 weeks, if that's what you want to call it. So,
yeah, it's been a great season.
What a ride!
As an Arsenal fan, it's been great. As like neutral fan of other Premier League happenings, I think it's been pretty great. Some good stories in there. Some comebacks, some shaky starts that ended up better, some great starts that didn't maybe live up to the dream, but
David Moyes not getting fired.
Hey, look, he tried his hardest, okay?
He tried so hard. He really did. That the last handshake of it, the last game I saw him, I was like, how did he make it?
Part of me thinks West Ham just waited too long to make a decision, and then they were like, well, there's not really any other great opportunities to like sign a notable manager right now, so I guess we just rat it out, and I mean it worked. So.
They did. All right, so should we just talk final day and the feelings throughout it?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
All right, I'll get us going. Liverpool playing Southampton. Game really meant nothing to us. Meant nothing. Yeah, it was kind of just like, you know what? Let's literally just go out there and have some fun. That's kind of what both sides I think we're trying to do. Fans were having a good time. I think it's kind of nice when a relegated team I think just knows that like this is like we're going down. We don't got to worry on our last day. Just go out there and give it your all. And to be fair, like it was cool to see James Milner kick off. That was like a huge sign of respect. Firmino getting a goal that it looked like he wanted to kick it 3 times, then just like almost like missed, stuttered, and then Meg's the keeper. It was like everything that a Liverpool team and a Southampton team could have done. I think we saw in that game. And then a 4-2 comeback by Southampton, and then a 4-4 comeback by Liverpool. I was just like, what in the hell is going on? I won't lie to you, that was not my focus of the day, just because that game meant nothing. But I was thinking, was this a successful season? Am I happy with how it went? It's like, I don't know. And I think once we kind of talk about all the games, we'll do a speed run through all the teams and just give them like an A through F grade.
Sure.
And, I'll just do Liverpool now. I think I got to give us like a C because it's not it wasn't awful. We didn't fail, but we also didn't like do what we thought we were going to do, which is challenge for a title.
Yeah.
But we also had, a couple of weird injuries, the World Cup. There's so many weird factors that, of course, every team has to go through. But I think our eyes are definitely set on next season and what we need to fix. I think the momentum is definitely there. I'm glad we didn't do anything crazy in terms of like getting rid of our top players or thinking about them leaving, like Salah, or even Klopp at that matter, or Virgil. No one wants out. Everyone seems to be buying in. So that's what I hope we ride into the summertime, is just the same kind of same philosophy, same ideas. Because I do believe next year we will be running for the title. I really do think that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Liverpool is. I mean, it was already pretty clear of like where they needed reinforcements, but I think this season was like made it abundantly clear of like you need that midfield help. Like attack is looking great, defense is maybe use one or two just like extra bodies back there, but otherwise great. Allison's great. Just that midfield is like got a little overrun, and then the injuries and all that played into it. But yeah, they just kind of started to age out a little bit, and which happens, but right. it at least leaves the transfer window focus like fairly narrow. So it won't be this weird like we signed so and so in a position we don't need just because it should be like midfielder, maybe a defender, maybe more midfield. I don't know, but I would expect nothing less of Liverpool to be challenging again for the title next season. And maybe get that Europa League title, I mean,
yeah, you gotta. Yeah, I guess that's true. We're gonna fight in Europe a little bit. I don't know how much focus will be there in terms of how good the title race will be, but it'll be interesting. I haven't seen us in Europa since Klopp's first year. I think that's when it kind of took off, and I remember that comeback against Dortmund, and then the eventual loss to Sevilla. Dang, do you remember watching that game?
Yeah.
At the Grad. I mean,
look, Sevilla they do their thing in Europa. They're in the final again this year, so.
Well, we already know.
It's only fitting that you went out to Sevilla.
Of course, and we know Emery will probably win the Conference League with Aston Villa next season.
True.
So just chalk it up. Just get out of their way. Don't even play them. Just let them win it. So yeah, that'll be fun. All right, and for Arsenal, how'd you feel about that last day?
Kind of the same thing. Like, Wolves are safe, not really playing for too much. Arsenal, second is squarely theirs. It was, no threat of falling down to third, no chance of jumping City for the title. So it was just one of those carefree games. They were out there having a good time. The Wolves didn't put up much of a fight. No. It was a fun game to watch. Like, initially I had that on my main TV for the first half, and then by halftime I think it was already 3-0, and it was fun. Great to see Xhaka get 2 goals on his probably last Arsenal game. It's not been announced, but it's like heavily implied and rumored that he's leaving, which, I mean, his redemption arc has just been such a fun thing to watch. He goes from coming into the club as like finally a proper defensive mid signing, even though it's not really the position he likes to play. Does fine there, but certainly has his mental lapses, which caused some defensive issues.
Right.
And then it kind of all like bubbles up under Emery, and he gets subbed out. He's fans are yelling at him. He kind of yells back at the fans, has to issue this whole like apology statement, which wasn't really an apology. It was more of like, you guys are shitty, and like, I'm going to stand up for myself. And, everyone thought, at that point, he's out the club, but, Arteta came in and apparently had some good conversations with him. And I mean, this has been his best season ever for Arsenal. He occupied that little bit of a more advanced midfield role, which, like I've said before, I think is good for him because it takes some of that defensive worry off of him, which is certainly not a strong suit. And then he ended the season with, I think, like 16 goal contributions or something, which is like what you want from any midfielder, right? Like contributing to the play. So it's nice to see him end on a high with 2 more goals to his name, and I think he has a lot of fans' respect. So it was fun to watch that.
So let me ask you this, because Bobby, sad to see him go. I still question him, like, are we sure we want to let this happen? Because I won't be surprised if he goes to a competitor and maybe it doesn't put up the numbers he has at Liverpool, but I don't know, man. The guy finds a way to score. So deep down, I'm sad. Club legend for sure. Obviously, Arsenal hasn't had the trophy case to show that some of their players in the last 5, 6, 7 years are club legends. But are you sad to see him go? And I totally understand if you're not.
Yeah, I mean, not as sad as if it was like a Firmino situation. I think I would feel worse about him leaving. But Xhaka he's been in the club for a while, and he's always kind of been that leader, kind of captain role, whether he has the armband or not. Which I think is just going to be a big loss anyway. So that's the part that I maybe worry about, is like you're losing a leadership figure, and just someone that had that, like, he has that like Eastern European just like fight in him, and you kind of need some players with that. Like,
absolutely.
That like kind of rage that can kind of sometimes bite you in the butt and get them a red card or whatever. But at this other end of the spectrum, like it gets them fired up, it gets the team fired up sometimes. So I think he will be missed. I'll definitely miss him, but if the rumors of like a Declan Rice or someone coming in to replace him, like, that's a worthy upgrade.
Sure, absolutely. So who do you see replacing him on the mental toughness, the grittiness side of things? Who's going to be that next person to step up?
I think maybe Big Gabby in the back. He kind of has that little bit of a fight in him. And some of the same like defensive lapses, I guess, that we've seen Xhaka make. Not as frequently as he was, but he definitely has that passion, and like he's one of those players where after a big tackle or a save, like he's cheering just as if he scored a goal. And you always see him in the camera after the games, going over to the fans, just like having a good time with fans, and like really cheering and yelling and stuff. So I think he'll probably kind of step into that role, and he's been at the club now for a few years, so I think they're all young, but he's one of the more senior players at the club now, so probably him, I'd say. Okay. I mean, if like a Declan Rice does come in, it might be a quick kind of ascent to like a leadership role, just because he's had a lot of experience and is looked at as pretty highly rated, so he might just kind of command some respect and show some leadership right away, which is great.
Yep. You don't know until it happens, but I would agree with you. I don't really see, like, I was like, maybe Odegaard, if he gets a little tougher or gets a little bit more like, I don't know, like aggressive, but that's not his role. He doesn't want to do that. He's too nice, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. He doesn't have that same like underlying rage.
Yeah.
But like he could definitely let it out, and we've seen that at moments where he's frustrated and will kind of try and lead the team, whether it's through like a scoring action or just getting people positioned properly and stuff. But I think he likes to be a little bit more of the silent leader on the pitch rather than what Xhaka was, where it's like if you're in the wrong spot or doing something wrong, like he was going to let you know.
Do you think Zinchenko, despite his stature, could kind of fall into that?
I could see it. I mean, he's already was, I guess, kind of in that realm. But I think a lot of his leadership came from more of just the experience he had at City and going on these title runs and having to win these must-win games and stuff. And so I think he can definitely play a part there. It might just be one of those things where it's not one person that kind of takes over the role, but now it's opened up this little like cavity or whatever, like multiple people will fill it in.
It's a unit. All right, and then one last thing for you. This team was pretty disciplined this year. Do you know anyone who got a red card?
0.
Attaboy. Well played. Well played. I mean, that's impressive to go the whole season without getting a red.
Yeah.
I don't know too many teams that have done it. I'm pretty sure. Oh man, I know I want to say someone from Liverpool got a red this year, but now I'm trying to think back. I'm like, maybe we went the whole year without a red, but I think one of us did, and I just can't put my name on it. I mean, even City got a red. Granted, they got rid of that player shortly after in Cancelo.
That's why the red card. You're out of here.
But it did exist. It did exist. Yeah, Nunez. Duh. There it is.
Oh, God.
That's like that might be the red card of the season against Anderson. But
I mean, yeah, Arsenal years past got a good handful of reds. A lot of them being Xhaka, but and that might have been part of the reason that Arteta wanted to play him a little bit higher, is to just give him some peace of mind there. But I don't know. I guess if I had to give Arsenal season a grade, I'm probably gonna go like an A. I mean,
think so.
You did almost everything right.
A minus.
I would say A, honestly.
A?
Like, not even A minus, because there was the Liverpool draw, the Southampton, the West Ham, where the season just kind of fell apart. But beyond that, everything kind of went as it should have.
Right.
There's definitely another stumble here and there, but Arsenal ended with I think the second most points they've ever scored in a season. I think the most goals they've ever scored in a season. They had multiple players on double-digit goal contributions. Ramsdale with I think 14 clean sheets, which is I think tied for second. Everyone performed pretty well. To me, that's A worthy.
A plus is the title.
I'd say A plus is the title. So it's if it's this anomaly that is the City team of it's City, they go on these 15 game runs at the end of the season, without that, no one else was even close to challenging City for the title, right? So at least Arsenal put up a little bit of a fight, made it a little bit interesting.
So let's get grading then, if you don't mind. Would you give City an A? I'll say my little piece on it. Why was this even close for them? That's kind of my take on it. I mean, there are a bunch of teams who maybe thought about competing at the start. Liverpool, which I already gave them my grade, and I think they should have been up there. But things happen. But I don't know. City kept this lingering for too long. It's I think in my book they're maybe getting to B plus. Yeah, they won it, but they were expected to win it from day one, and it really wasn't until match day. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe match day 32, 33 is when it flopped, right? And they passed Arsenal.
Yeah. I mean, I think you got to take some perspective with each team on this grading.
Mm-hmm.
So we know what City is capable of. So yeah, to let it kind of almost get away from them this season certainly hurts the grade, I'd say.
Okay. Could you imagine having the top goal scorer of all time at age 22 and not win it? That just sounds so that was the pace we were at up until the draws.
That was the thing, is I think Pep just made it too hard on himself. Just feed Holland's runs, feed him the ball, he's gonna score. But he always wanted to do these intricate little build-up things. It's
dude, this isn't Barcelona. This isn't La Liga where they can just kill you and it's a yellow. Okay, I'm gonna do that every game.
Yeah. I guess if I had to give City a grade, I think I'd maybe go B plus.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think because just expectations were there, that they should have been A plus, and to points they were.
If they do end up winning the treble, I think you maybe bump it up.
We gotta focus. We're focusing Premier League only.
If we're just doing Premier League,
yeah.
this will be the let's say they win, FA Cup and Champions League, this will be the grade point average that drags them down a little bit.
They lose the FA Cup, might give them a B. If they lose Champions League, I don't know.
I mean, FA Cup against United, you should have
they
that
should
in the bag.
smoke them. Which next Saturday, I hope we get to do another pod for that one. I think that would be fun, even if it's just a quick game day sample. But hey, let's go. Segue. We're good at this. Man United grade, 75 points, 23 wins, 6 draws, 9 losses. A goal differential of plus 15, which would be sixth best.
Great.
Not great.
Yeah.
Not great. 3 better than Brentford. Well, that's how you got to look at that.
Yeah. I mean, they had a really bad start in the season. Kind of made something of it, basically only because Rashford turned it on for a month or two, and that was it.
January and February, and that was about it.
I'd maybe go C plus B minus territory.
I was gonna say B. I mean, we put them in our top 4, and I feel like if you're in the top 4, you deserve a decent grade. So B minus at worst, B for me. At the start of the season, I mean, that was rocky. So
yeah,
they figured it out a little bit.
Yeah, they grew into it, and I don't know, just a lot of their performances aren't I mean, in this back half they've been definitely better, but for a long time a lot of their performances were just not very convincing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess they got the points where it mattered, but yeah, I'd go B minus, I guess.
That's fair. All right, Newcastle.
This is an interesting one.
I know.
I kind of want to say I'd maybe go A.
Yeah, I'm giving them an A minus.
Yeah.
They really they started out decent. They drew City in the beginning of the year, one of my more favorite matches of the year. Their defense was rock solid, and then all of a sudden they figured out, we have a pretty damn good offense too. Maybe we should start attacking and countering and doing all these things that our players are capable of. And then all of a sudden, they just started going like this.
Yeah.
A little bit of a plateau, not a crazy one, but a little bit of a plateau. Pope playing out of his mind. It's the Burnley DNA. It's expected. I mean, look.
Yeah. I know their rise to excellence has been funded by money rather than just pure tactics and skill, which still in there for sure. But I mean, considering where they have been in years past to now back up into Champions League, and my biggest critique of them earlier in the season was that they couldn't turn their draws into wins. And then they figured out their attack and started actually dominating these games. So I think if you're a Newcastle fan, that's probably the season you were hoping for, right? Of course everyone has the dream of the title, but considering where you were at, and now you're up there playing with top 4, all year playing in top 4, basically.
They were never not in it. Maybe not for the title, but they were always in top 4. I don't believe they ever dropped out of it. Impressive year for them. I think they should be happy with where they're at. Champions League. It'll be interesting to see what type of money they splash this summer.
Yeah.
How much money do you think they're throwing out there?
I don't. Just because they've been fairly constrained in their spending, they have spent more than they ever did before, but they've been smart about the people they've brought in too.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to be a splash the cash all over the place sort of situation. I think they'll probably. I think they got to kind of get a left winger. St. Maximin is great on his day, but he seems to be injured a lot.
Yeah. Well, they got Gordon. Gordon made the sheet, and he's there. I don't.
Yeah,
Again,
I don't know if he's.
I'm not a fan of Gordon either.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's the one, but
Yeah.
that's who they spent money on. So
True. Yeah. I don't know. I think maybe I'd like to see just a like they need I think like a good like Casemiro defensive mid kind of guy. Like Bruno kind of holds it down, but I think Bruno should kind of be pushed up a little bit more. He's a little bit more creative and has a decent shot on him. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they need too much because I don't think you want to make top four, spend all this money trying to get to the league title the next season. Like, I think you want to get a few years of just like sustained Champions League money, Champions League recognition. Ideally, I guess that's the way. But I mean, if your owners got this money to throw around, they might want that more instant success. And
what about Xhaka?
To Newcastle?
I don't know. It's kind of fitting. He'd go back to that like villainous role for me. Right?
Yeah. I mean, there's been talk of them looking at Kieran Tierney for their left back, which makes too much sense. So I think that'll probably happen. Okay. I just hope that Arsenal knows they have money, so hold out for as much as you can.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Like maybe see them throwing something at Madison. Like, he's a good player. He creates a lot. James Ward-Prowse.
I know.
I want
to know where those two dudes go. That's really fascinating. I'd be pumped to get one of them, honestly.
Yeah. Either one is, I think, a good pickup for pretty much any club. I think
so many. Okay, let's do Brighton next. First time in Europe. Can you not give them an A? Like, losing their coach, losing arguably their best player in Trossard, middle of the year, maybe not even the middle of the year, earlier before the transfer window, just because he kind of was phased out. All of a sudden, everyone's screaming Brighton, and here they are in Europe next year.
I mean, they've, I think, pretty much become everyone's other favorite team.
Yeah, it's hard not to enjoy them. It really is.
They play, fast, exciting football. It's fun to watch. They're scoring great goals, beating big teams. I think A is justified. Like, it was maybe going to be an A+ if they made it into Champions League, because like they did have that opportunity. But I mean, kind of the same situation as Newcastle. Like, considering where Brighton's been for the past few years, of like mid-table, now to be up here and kind of be that team that a lot of people are afraid of. So it's a good shout. A sounds good. I want to see what they do next year. I hope they can hang on to a lot of people.
Me too.
I'm
laughing just because I'm looking at the table right now, and I know where this is going. But from the top 6 down, I just want to go rapid fire. Okay. Just give me your first guess. We're not even going to talk about it, but we're just going to go bang, bang, bang all the way down. Okay, you ready?
Ready.
Aston Villa.
A-.
A-. I agree. Tottenham. F.
You're going F?
Dude, this is the first time they haven't made Europe in 13 years. 3 managers. Harry Kane scoring the most goals ever, and they can't do anything with it. Chad, this is a failure. This is a failure of a season.
Look, I was always going to go F, but I wanted you to listen to things, so F. I mean, yeah, there's they just built that whole new big ass stadium for nothing.
Oh my
nothing going
Lord.
on.
Oh, I almost cried.
I know we're doing a rapid fire, but like,
yeah, let me take a minute.
Their manager search has been
abysmal.
They've missed out on some targets already, and it kind of got me thinking of like, I don't know what manager would want to take this role right now, because
have you applied?
I should. I mean, you're coming in probably without Harry Kane next season.
Most likely.
if they convince him to stay and run down his contract, like I guess
Shame on
maybe
them.
it's worth it if you get back into Europe, but I'd almost rather just take the money and start your rebuild this year, like
Why
or
not?
this next season.
They could sell off so much and,
Yeah.
and get their money and just start it.
You might as well, honestly. But I don't know. Like no Kane, no Europe. The club is like kind of directionless at the moment. Like there's no. It's not like a youth project. It's not. We need a Conte to come in and win now because we have the players. It's this weird mishmash of
What do we do?
yeah, like it's a hot mess right now. I saw some of the names got thrown around of like the manager from Celtic was looked at, and from Feyenoord or
Yeah, Feyenoord, yeah.
yeah,
In the Netherlands.
yeah. But like they just won the league with their team, so like I don't know if you jump at this as your like big Premier League move, right? Like you maybe ride your success a little bit more. It's a risk, but I mean, to watch Tottenham go through multiple managers and get nothing out of it, and you broke Conte like to the point where he's calling out the players in the press conference,
And he's right.
and he's right.
That's
Was the
crazy.
thing. Like people gave him shit initially for like he shouldn't do that, but then like it was
He's
right.
literally
Like,
tweeting like, ha 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 ha. What do you think of Graham Potter going here? Because I think Graham Potter probably wants a job. And if they are going into rebuild mode, I think that's the right fit.
I think this probably should have always been the step for Potter, like a team like of this stature where it's you do kind of fight in the top 6, top 4 European places, but you're not a Chelsea where it's like we expect to win the league
Tomorrow.
or like win the Champions League. Like
Yep.
yeah, and I know that Chelsea new owner, like it may be a little bit different, but like they splashed so much money over there that you had to win. Whereas the Tottenham spot now, like if it is just going to be this rebuild, then Potter did a great job with Brighton, and keeping them afloat, and Brighton under him still took points off some big teams, and it could be a pretty good appointment. I think they gotta come to terms with either we keep Kane and hope he gets us back into Europe for the next season, or we just bite the bullet now, sell him for whatever we can get, start the rebuilds. Like if you're already kind of down after this season, maybe you just do that. Maybe it's next season is a little bit rough too because you're rebuilding. Maybe the season after that too. I don't know, but you got to do something. You can't just keep hoping that Kane will sign another like 6-year contract and stick around. Like United will look at him. There's talk of Madrid looking at him now.
They'll throw money.
Yeah, and you can't have a 30 goal a season striker sitting on your team that's not even in Europe now. Like
It's wild. It's fascinating they're even in this position. And I don't know a lot of people who know what they're going to do next. But them losing out in Europe to Aston Villa on the final day, fucking
delightful. Yes.
Fucking beautiful. All right.
I like to think that Brighton knew that Villa needed the win to keep Tottenham out. So
I love it. I love
worked
it.
together on that one.
They collabed and they made it happen. Brentford.
I'm gonna go A.
I'm gonna go B+ because they had a chance in Europe and they didn't make it, and I think they maybe could have. Fulham.
B.
C+ for me. They had a great start and they kind of fell apart. And if you want to give your reason for your grade, and how about we'll do a sentence for your grade and.
Yeah. I mean B, only because like. You came up and you're up and you stayed up and yeah you started good and it just kind of fell flat, but B.
Crystal Palace 45 points 11th.
just the average. So like C plus.
Oh,
Like
okay. I'm gonna
that's
go.
like where they've always been in my head. It's just like 11, 12, 13, something like that.
Yeah, I'll give him a B because Roy Hodgson saved their season, and I thought they were going to get relegated a couple of weeks ago. It wasn't that long ago when I was like, "This is the worst team in the Premier League." Bet on it, and then Roy Hodgson's made them a B for me. Prior to Roy, D. I'm sorry. I'll make that a fact. All right, Chelsea 12, 44 points.
That's got to be an F for sure. Like if you could go below an F, you might need to. I mean, we as much as we talked about Tottenham's manager struggles, like you got rid of Tuchel to bring in Potter to bring in Lampard, and
12,
this
baby.
is it.
12.
This is going to be an interesting watch.
You remember in high school we get NC for no credit. I'm giving them a no credit here because
it's fair.
They don't deserve a grade. Are you kidding me? $600 million spent, and this is what they have to show for it. They don't deserve a grade.
That's true.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful. They were battling, arguably, for relegation. Just like I felt like 2 or 3 weeks ago because they hadn't hit the 40-point mark at week 35. How absurd is that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for at least the individual quality that's in that squad, they got zero return on anything, and I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Pochettino can do anything with this squad. I mean, they're gonna have to try and sell some people, but I think you're losing money on them because no one put in a good shift this year. So
they're signed for 10 years and whatever else benefits included. So yeah, ridiculous. Okay, Wolverhampton.
Say maybe like I'm gonna go like C plus.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat too. C plus. They did what they arguably have always done, just kind of hung around, stayed in the Premier League. Did enough. West Ham.
I'd maybe go like C minus.
Yeah,
on this one.
I'm leaning C minus as well. Maybe even a D.
Yeah, like
they were top 7, top 8 last year, which is why they're now in the Europa Conference League final. So confusing team. I think they were confused as well. I expect out of all these teams, honestly, on this list, including Chelsea, I expect them to make the biggest jump in standings next year. I could see them going from 14th to maybe 8th, maybe even 7th, depending on what talent they lose, talent they bring in. Mm-hmm. If they keep the exact same squad now, there's no reason why this team can't be better than what they've shown this year.
Yeah, for real.
Bournemouth.
C?
I think we're about to hit the C group here. I agree with you there. I don't really have much to say. Their 9-0 bounce back against Liverpool was actually decent. After that game, they surprisingly played better. So, not to get relegated, I think you deserve a passing grade. So, C.
Yeah.
Forest. They hung on, Chad. They fucking held on.
They held on, but they still spent a lot of money to barely make it out. I'd probably go like... I mean, I guess you stayed up, so maybe C minus to C, somewhere in there. Like
same boat.
Yeah.
They hung on. That's all. I think from let's call it week 25 onwards, they said we just need to hang on.
Yeah.
Scratch and claw our way.
We spent too much money. We can't go down.
That was the reason. I swear to you, dude. That's what they were thinking.
Probably.
Okay, Everton. This is where maybe we take just like 2 or 3 minutes here, because at the end of the game, beating Bournemouth 1-0, the fans rushed the field, acting like they just won the Premier League, and you have mixed. I could hear it. You could hear it over the camera. You hear fans yelling and complaining, and then you hear fans cheering. And like, I think both are true. Fans cheering because
True.
they're staying in the Premier League since 19, I believe it was 1954, 1955 is when they got promoted, and they stuck around for all these years. And you have fans saying, why are we even in this position? What are we doing? How embarrassing. Why are we rushing the field? And I'm like, that's also true. That's very true. So I'm going to give them a D- because you look at the talent on that team, pretty good talent. There's no reason why they should have been where they were.
Well, you're forgetting they had Frank Lampard, so
Forgot about that.
no, but I mean, yeah, I get like the fan excitement to stay up after it was looking not very likely for a while there. But yeah, to rush the pitch afterwards is a bit much, and I think more of just the social media day and age where you can have that video of like, we did it, we're on the pitch, yeah, like it's not as like genuine as a title win or like, I don't know. I guess that's kind of the only time I would really.
Let me ask you this: do you think Leicester would have done that? Honestly, like deep down, I'm gonna say no. Even though they just like, I don't think that crowd would have done it.
I don't necessarily see them doing it, but if anything, they were more justified to do it because they started the day in relegation zone, and they won the game they needed to win. So right. They at least would have like moved up out of the relegation zone, where Everton was just like, you started safe, right on the edge, but safe, and just stayed there, and like you got your win, but it was a 1-0 victory against a Bournemouth team that has nothing to play for. Everton, I think, got a little lucky in that.
I think Bournemouth wanted to win.
I think Bournemouth wanted to win, but like they also like they're not really fighting for anything. So like,
and they're not that good.
Where, yeah, like, and the times where they did try and get something going, like it just kind of fell apart. And I don't think it was any credit to Everton of good defending or anything. Just Bournemouth is like, I think some players really want to win and give Everton the loss and potentially relegate them. But I think a lot of it was just like, we're safe, we're chilling, last game of the season, like no real whole kitchen sink time at the end.
God, I wanted it. I wanted that so bad. The +10,
that's what I was going to say, actually.
Oh,
Everton, these idiots out there.
Wait, who are we talking about? Are we talking about the players, the fans?
Players. They get their 1-goal lead. I get it's a 1-goal lead. It can disappear pretty quickly, but they're still playing this like long ball, like route one, not trying to possess the ball, making crosses in just to do it. Like you're just handing the ball back to Bournemouth and potentially throwing away your lead. Like what are you doing? Like you have the lead. You're as of right now safe from relegation.
Mm-hmm.
You get a draw there. You're not safe anymore. Like Leicester's got the better goal differential on you. I don't know if that was what the manager was saying, like we're getting multiple goals, or if it's just like the players. I wouldn't think so.
That's Dyche over there. He has no more hair to pull out. That's how stressed he was. I mean, he did not look happy with what they were doing. I know exactly. Iwobi kept crossing the ball into Gray. Gray taking shots off his own body and not earning anything out of it. I mean, the commentators were saying the exact same thing that we're kind of commenting on too. Is what are they doing? Do they not realize that they don't need to do any more? Just hold the ball, possess.
There was a moment, I think it was like 85, 86 minutes, something like that, where I think they took a corner kick, and then it like went in, got headed out, but like fell, I don't know, 35 yards out, and the Everton player was not challenged at all. Like no one was pushing him, and he just sends the cross back in. It's like, just hang on to the ball, like pass it around, eat up some time. Like you don't have to get that second goal. I get that's more safety for you if you get it, but like
it's more risk.
it's more risk. And there were, a few moments where Bournemouth nearly broke through, and Pickford had a pretty big save towards the end, and
that was the one. He didn't have to do much that game, and that was the one where I was like, "Ooh, that was close." I was looking at the Men in Blazers Instagram, and I think one of them is an Evertonian.
Yeah.
And oh my lord, was he screaming? I was laughing at the way he was screaming, but I was also like, "Yeah, I don't." They were acting real stupid at times, and it's wild. It would have been real interesting if they got relegated. Really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's your grade?
I think probably similar to you, like D minus. Yeah, I feel like D minus is good. Like, I don't want to go as far as F because it wasn't a total failure.
Mm-hmm.
It nearly was.
Okay,
But...
let me ask you, what does Sean Dyche get?
I think probably like a C.
Yeah.
I thought he would do a little bit better with them than he did.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't know. He seemed to like, and maybe it's just a player issue, but they seem to sometimes try to go for games that they didn't need to go for, or like moments where they just like stopped defending and lost their heads a little bit. But yeah, I mean, Everton, like, I don't think they're going to be that team that flirts around with European places like they had done in the past, like your Brightons, your Villas, your Brentfords, like Tottenham's still kind of up there. Like,
no way.
Yeah, so I think Everton's certainly got a rebuild on the hands, but I don't know. They got to make some smart moves because they got some quality in the squad, but I don't know that you can hang on to those guys for too much longer if they're going to be fighting relegation every season.
Yeah, last thing I want to know, Yerry Mina, I was looking back in his past when I saw the pinch bite thing that happened. Yeah. And last week he destroyed Holland. Holland had like pinch bruises all over his chest.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he's kind of been notorious for that. So I was really paying attention to his game. Dude, it didn't matter what player it was, his team or the opponent, he was grabbing on everyone. I was like, this guy is so like touchy-feely on top of it. I was like, he's got to be one of the most annoying players to go against just because he's and not like I'm putting my elbow into you, not like I'm putting a body on, like he's like just straight like holding onto you or like holding people's faces. It was kind of outrageous, at least in my opinion. And then when I don't remember who showed it, but can you recall?
I think Solanke. It might have been him.
That's right. And he had it looked like a hickey, so it was hard to tell what it was. I'm assuming it was a pinch.
I think pinch, yeah.
But that looked kind of nasty.
But I mean, so same thing. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're potentially giving away a penalty kick here because you are a defender who's like very physical. But like, today is not the day to flirt with that line of what will get called and what won't.
Yeah, I wish I had an answer for what was going through his mind, but that team lacks seniority and discipline. And I think if anyone who needs to do it has probably been Tarkowski, but I think Tarkowski is just not that type of guy, especially because he had Ben Mee at Burnley, so he never had to be that person. So yeah, that's all for Everton. That just kind of grinded my gears when everyone was rushing the field, and I was like, congrats. Yeah. You didn't get relegated.
I just think back of watching like Sac Republic games in the stands, and just like they're playing like really shitty, and the team is capable of much more than that. And like, I'm one of the fans that like I just get annoyed, and it's not even if they come back and win. Like, I just leave that game annoyed because like we should not have been in that position.
Right.
Better team than that. And I've never had an experience where like I had an opportunity to rush the field or felt the need to, but like, yeah, this just doesn't feel very like genuine.
We've rushed one field before.
Well, yeah, but
And that was worth it. That was a PK shootout in a. I don't know what the outcome was, but that was a moment where you rushed the field. It was a win against a team you like don't beat that often, and that's where I think it should have happened. Not against Bournemouth, who lost 9-0 earlier in the season and is only 3 points ahead of you. Whew.
Yeah.
Whew. Now, if they beat Man City at full strength or whatever, something like that, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
And if they weren't already in relegation, maybe. But that's another thing. So, all right, Leicester. I mean,
I think it's got to be an F.
I think we got to go Fs.
Like they should have been better. I think a lot of this does come down to Rodgers, and I guess maybe more just like the Leicester board to not get rid of him much sooner.
Sabotage.
But I mean, yeah, like if you got plenty of defenders in your squad, and you're going through periods of the season where you're playing midfielders and defense, and it just was kind of a shit show all season for them. I'm excited to see where Madison goes. I'm excited to see where Thielman goes.
A lot of players on that team.
Soyuncu, I think, is already signed to
Atletico, yep.
So I mean that's a great move for him.
Hey, Wout Fast got on the score sheet last day.
I saw him score and I was like, Michael thinks you're the worst defender, but I don't know now. You got the goal. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see like what they do, because Vardy's not going to be your guy to bring you back up anymore.
I heard he's going to stick around.
He might stick around, but like it'll probably be more of the same of this season, where he's just kind of more cameo appearances.
Yep.
I don't know. I think without Madison and the team, they're a much different team. He offers a lot of creativity, sets up a lot of plays, but I don't know.
I think their ownership's really good. Why they didn't get rid of Rodgers earlier and all that crap, who knows? But I think their ownership will get them back in the Premier League. Timestamp me, episode 37. They will be back in the Premier League within the next 2 years. That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
I like it.
Yeah. All right, Leeds. Oh, sorry. I'm going to give Leicester a D-, just because I believe Rodgers sabotaged this team earlier in the year.
It's fair.
Now, my next two, pretty straightforward. Leeds, F. And that's partially because they didn't let Jesse do his thing post-transfer window. Who knows? Could have been the same effect, but we'll never know. So F to the board, F to the players, the lack of effort, the lack of Bamford's scoring ability. So many things went wrong for this team where it was like, you could have been better. This team beat Liverpool in like a hard-fought match, and they never fought for anything else.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they had these moments where they looked like good and could compete and, at least not be in the relegation zone. But then so many other times it's just that thing we always say where they just like run back and forth and they hit each box and they don't know what to do. Yeah. I mean, bummer because, that it was kind of the American contingent. I saw though that Aronson has a release clause in his contract since they got relegated. McKinney goes back to Juventus because they got relegated. Tyler Adams, I'm sure, will go somewhere. Like he seemed decent enough when he was playing.
Those guys have like Fulham, Brentford, Brighton, Villa DNA written all like hardworking, but just need a little bit better team culture.
I mean, they could jump to one of the newly promoted teams. I mean, you got some Premier League experience, right? And, that might work out to have the excitement of a newly promoted team
for sure,
and get everyone kind of energized and ready to play. But I mean, yeah, Leeds I think was just disappointing season, clearly.
And Southampton, F as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you ended the season with 25 points. Like, that's one of the worst returns I've seen in recent history. So, it feels weird for Southampton to go down because I think they've been in it for ever since I've been really paying attention to Premier League,
Long time.
and have always kind of been one of those teams where they might get beat 9-0, but like they bounce back and they survive and they get some other good wins. And
Yep.
I mean, they've had a lot of decent players over the years, and I don't know. I think they kind of just ran out of the good luck or something. But yeah, James Ward-Prowse will go somewhere. That's maybe it.
They beat Chelsea this year, which is kind of their highlight.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
look, they beat Leeds, they beat Everton, they beat the other teams who could have been relegated too. So it's just, I don't know. They drew Arsenal, which is wild.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean,
twice
they can put up a
twice.
fight. So, I mean, I'm glad to see them go because they've been Arsenal's bogey team for quite a while now. So,
Right. I remember that.
But yeah, I mean, a bummer, but get some fresh blood, some fresh ideas into the Premier League, and let Southampton kind of rebuild or figure out their stuff. And yeah, James Ward-Prowse, who's taking him? Someone's got to take.
I know, it's fascinating. All right, Chad, do you have a favorite game from this year?
Overall or like Arsenal game?
Your favorite Arsenal game this year?
Favorite Arsenal game. There's a lot in like the early days of the season, like that Bournemouth win, because you get that Saliba curler and like the fans singing the Saliba song for the entire 90 minutes.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
but that one always sticks out. I mean, doing the double over Tottenham's always fun. I think like the most recent one that I kept kind of thinking about was the win over Newcastle, just because like they were so hot. Arsenal was kind of coming out of their kind of like stumble period, and Arsenal just like played their game and showed that they could be a good team and fend off this Newcastle team that was putting in all these goals past Tottenham, and every single game it seemed like they were going 3-4-0 and stuff. It's like, I don't know, for Arsenal to go there and get a pretty solid 2-0 win, especially away from home, I think was like one of those where it's like kept me believing that something could happen, Yeah, but if I had to go like overall game, I mean, I think it's got to be the Liverpool Man U 7-0. Like, I almost went the Newcastle Tottenham because that was 5-1, 6-1, something like that. But that Liverpool one, like so the Newcastle one was very concentrated in that first half. That Liverpool one went the whole game. Like, it could have been 10.
Couldn't believe it. I didn't get to see the game live, but I watched it the next day. And it's on my list of games, and I was kind of undecided on if that was going to be the one of the season, but I'll sway to the other one. But that game was just ridiculous. 7-0. Are you kidding me? Against Man U?
Yeah, against a rival like that. I mean,
embarrassing. So as an entertainment game, like, yeah, that's up there. I think for me, like the true nail biter, the game where I was like on the edge of my seat it had to have been the City Liverpool game when they won 1-0. That game was, I just got goosebumps talking about it just now. I'm not even kidding. That game was so crazy. I just remember, I think I was home alone. I don't think Kristen was here. I just remember yelling. I think Salah got the game winner with a cheeky little, I think it was a chip over Ederson. Again, I'm trying to go off my memory here. But I just remember it was like him and nobody else after the halfway line, because he's just still that blistering fast and scoring that goal and then securing the victory over them. I was like, I think actually coming on the pod, I was pretty hyped. I think it said this is our title breaking like moment. And you looked at me and said, oh, okay, like hold on, like, how many beers have you had today? And it was a couple, but that moment was really cool. And again, I still remember it. Out of all the games this year, that was the one that really stood out. And then as a neutral, I mean, there are a lot of games that came to mind, but I think the one that stood out, and it's just because I called it, so it's still in my memory, was when Bournemouth came back and beat Tottenham. 3-2. That one just like oh, just a little, it just right over the edge of the redemption game. Calling that it could happen because they want that revenge, and then the fact it happening literally at the same time as like when Tottenham did it to them, like that's just too perfect.
Yeah, that was a good one too. I mean, there's just been so many, I think, good games. Like, whether it was just high score lines or that little bit of like a comeback or like redemption kind of game this season. So, I mean, entertaining across the board. Like a lot of the Brighton games are pretty entertaining. Like, I mean, even when they lost 5-0 to Everton, you know, that not great for Brighton, but I mean, it was just so wild that, you know, you see that and you think Everton is going to like for sure be safe, and then they kind of flounder a little bit still. But
like Everton scoring 5.
That's it. I mean, like fun season. Like I said, I mean,
super fun season. This season's been crazy. It's been so like it's been out of the norm just because of how many teams are now in the top 10 who weren't previously, and you know, thanks to Chelsea and Tottenham for making things weird, for Newcastle deciding to play hard, for Arsenal coming out of nowhere from I mean, not out of nowhere, but making a big change. I do say I owe you a beer because Haaland did not score 5 goals in a game.
Only because Pep did not want it to happen.
That son of a bitch. God damn it. So many opportunities of hat tricks by the 50th minute, and you telling me he could have scored 2 more in 40 minutes? Bull, Pep. Bull.
I mean, I think you just gotta let him cook sometimes, right? Like,
let him cook. Let the man cook. One time.
I get like you're trying to play it safe, you know, make sure he's well rested, not getting injured or whatever. But like, man, like once I don't know. You got Haaland on your team. Throw him out there. Let him play.
He's 22, Pep. He's 22. He's going to be just fine tomorrow, okay?
No, exactly.
Jeez. All right. That was a good report card session. Good games. Let's just do a brief promotion. We're going to see Burnley, Sheffield, and Luton Town come up. That Luton PK shootout was pretty sweet. I feel terrible for... Is it Dabu?
Yeah, I think that's his name.
Oh man, dude, I like try to put myself in his shoes, and I just like,
that hurts.
Oh god, and it's not his fault. It's like it sucks to miss that. Anyone that misses a PK, I just feel bad for. In that moment, if he would have shot, if he would have been first or whatever order, or not, like anyone could have been in his place. Shout out to Horvath, our
another American in the Premier League now.
Hey man, it'll be. I hope. I mean, he should start. He will start for them, I assume, going into next year. You know, it'd be cool to see Matt Turner kind of go to maybe one of these teams. I know he probably isn't going to have a starting spot over Ramsdale, but it's cool to see another American keeper come up.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, Burnley, I think it's going to be the weird one because I haven't watched any of them this season. Or since they've gone down, and my memory is the Sean Dyche Burnley that
Burnley.
Yeah, now it's completely different, and I think it'll be interesting to see them.
It's Burnley and company now.
Yeah, sheesh. We'll see it if it's another Pep prodigy that might cause some upsets along the way, and I don't know. It'll be cool, you know, not just Sean Dyche Burnley coming back up and what we expect, just a completely kind of unknown how they're going to perform, and
Well, a lot of those guys. I mean, it's been what 2? Well, I guess last year Burnley was around. Do you think? I mean, they have a couple players. I was kind of looking through their roster, 3 or 4 at least notable names who stood out to me that were already in the Premier League. So they're already they're familiar. They kind of know what it takes. I don't, out of those 3 teams coming up, that'd be the one where I least expect to go down. Just quick prediction here: out of the 20 teams that are now in the Premier League as of the 23-24 season, we're doing early predictions, Chad.
Like way early.
Who's getting relegated?
Damn.
I love these games. They're just so odd and out there. How about I'll go first. I got one.
Sure.
I think Bournemouth might be down there.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking them.
They already are down there. It's just how much further could they go?
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to see Luton Town stay up.
I like to see all those teams stay up.
I mean, I like to see all of them stay up, but I think they might be the one that maybe falls back down right away. I think Forest is still going to be a big question mark. You know, you got kind of the bloated squad and all this money spent, and they still didn't really get much of a return from it. You know, maybe this summer they'll thin it out and kind of finalize their squad, but I think, yeah, I'm going to put Forest in there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we kind of see these teams cycle. You know, it's like it's a 2-year ordeal. Yeah, they get 2 years up and they go back down in 2 years. I wouldn't be surprised if Forest does that too, and this ends their 2-year little break. I weirdly see Fulham kind of being in that list too, depending on what moves they make. I do think they had a great start, but from January onward, I do think that was a relegation-like team. So that's kind of interesting to me too. Again, I don't know much about Luton Town, about Sheffield, only a little bit about Burnley. Those 3 teams could come up and go right back down, and it wouldn't surprise me in one bit, just because I don't want to say that's a trend, but you know, Southampton and Leicester Southampton and Leicester have been in the Premier League. Can't tell you how long, but ever since I can remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
Leicester probably came up 2014. Because I remember the Watford playoff game, which is just a classic.
Yeah, missed the PK to take it back to the other end.
That was 2013.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think Forest, Bournemouth. I want to say maybe Wolves too, because even when they started to stabilize a little bit, it was still not great.
Yep.
So, and I mean they had that run of no striker scoring for too long.
They broke it, right? Costa got in.
Break it, yeah. But I mean, you can't have a run like that and want to stay up. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd like to see all the 3 newly promoted teams stay up just to switch it up again the following year. But if I had to pick one of them to stay up, it would probably be Burnley.
Yep.
Luton Town is unknown to me, but I think I've seen, I don't know if you've seen the videos of entering the away end at their stadium, going through people's backyards, but
it's hilarious.
That's the level, the stature of the club. So they clearly don't have as much financial backing as all the other teams, and it's, I think they'll have some good, exciting games there because it is such a vast change from the big 60,000 seater stadiums to now this, I think they're a 10,000 seat stadium. So I don't know, they could get some upsets in there, but I don't know that they'll survive.
Yeah, we're on the same page about that one. And then last prediction, we're 3 years out from seeing Wrexham in the Premier League, at least. A year from now, will they be promoted?
I think so. Only because they probably have more financial backing than a lot of the teams do in League Two, and I mean, I think it would be a draw to some players to go to that team because they know that there's this show that follows it. So
marketing.
Yeah, like not that you like have much of a brand at that level, but it's something. Like we all know Paul Mullins now. Like
Crazy.
never heard of this guy before the show, and now he's like not a household name, but a name that people recognize it if they're in the football world. So
That's so cool. A fucking fourth tier team and everyone knows their name. It's so crazy to think about.
yeah, so yeah, I mean, it would be cool to watch them, continue to get promoted. I think they can do it this next one. I think once they're in League One, they'll start to like really feel some competition and pushback. And I mean, if they make it up to championship, that's always a big fight, regardless of the money you got. So we'll see. We'll see.
Well, we should get season 2, hopefully soonish.
Probably. Yeah.
Love to see that when that comes out. But I think that was good early predictions. Early predictions for next year.
Yeah, ask me after the transfer window. We'll see.
Yeah,
who came in, who came out.
I think after transfer window, then we can get into just title favorites. I mean, I'm sure we have one in our head, and that's just because it's inevitable. Yeah. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see who brings in who, and then we'll run from there. So I got nothing else. I'll see you probably next weekend. We can do a little FA Cup finale for the Premier League, and then maybe we'll do a Champions League. Everyone better be an Inter Milan fan in 2 weeks, or else we're gonna have some major problems. And then we got nothing until Women's World Cup, which, hey, I'm gonna start promoting. Kristen laughed at me, but I was like, we got the Hooligans pitch, but it's about time we started like, getting women involved and seeing like maybe there's women out here who could do their own podcast, collaborating, whatever. And I was like, the Hooligals pitch, and I was like, oh my god. And she was like, Hooligan. They're gonna like get confused with luau's. I was like, no.
Luau's. Nah.
No, it's not. It's not hula. It's hooligals. Something just something to think about. And we can even call it the Hooligans pitch, and it's you and me talking about the Women's World Cup and whatnot. So
sure.
Looking forward to that. I think it'll be fun, especially because the NWSL is growing so much. New pro team in the Bay Area, super neat. Hoping that we can somehow get involved with them. That would be absolutely wild. But
that'd be cool.
1 year down, Chad. Cheers to that.
It went quick,
Hey.
I think the only time it felt not a lot, but like I noticed it was when the World Cup was going, because it was just like back to back to back. We were like inputting the stats and then like talking about it. But I mean, it's been a fun ride. It's I got no one else to talk like this in my personal life, so you've done me a favor as well, and Kara a favor, because she doesn't want to hear about it.
Yeah, no, I know, I get you. I think there was only one cold night in January on a random Tuesday when we had a pod, and it was late, and I was like, that was not our jam. But hey, boring weeks happen in Premier League, and luckily we only had maybe 2 or 3, maybe.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's because no coaches got fired. No one was getting like absolutely destroyed, and then we found our groove again. So
yeah,
to 37 episodes from beginning of August till now. It's crazy. This year kind of flew. This year flew by with it. I won't lie.
Yeah,
it's like
and new season starts in like 70 days, so it's right around the corner.
We're gonna have overlap of Women's World Cup and Premier League too, so
yeah,
we'll figure that out. But I got nothing else. Have you got nothing else?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, with that, end of Premier League. One more FA Cup game to go before our pool is over, and we'll see who wins that thing. But right now, I think the standings they're pretty locked. So
kind of locked, yeah.
Until then, Chad. With that, the Hooligans are out.